Have you ever had that feeling where you're in a conversation and you just know that you said something specific or that an event happened a certain way, but the person sitting across from you is so convincingly telling you it didn't that you actually physically pause to check your own sanity?
It's a profound disorientation, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just a disagreement about facts or a difference of opinion.
Mhm.
It feels like the tectonic plates of your reality are shifting under your feet. You start to feel completely unmoored.
Exactly. It's that sensation where the more patient you are, the more understanding you try to be, the worse you get treated.
Yeah.
You're constantly questioning your reality, your memory, even your basic goodness. And you think, if I just explain it better, if I find the perfect analogy, or if I'm just nicer, they'll finally get it.
But they never do.
They never do.
And that right there, that is the hallmark of a toxic dynamic. We aren't just talking about a bad breakup or, a boss who is a bit demanding or micromanaging.
Right. This is a different category.
It's a totally different category. We are talking about a systematic psychological dismantling.
Today, we are going deep into the mechanics of that dismantling. We're unpacking narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships, and most importantly, the tactical roadmap for getting out and recovering.
And the recovery piece is so vital because this kind of toxicity, it literally rewires your brain. So we need to talk about the what and the why, the anatomy of the trap, but we're going to spend a lot of time on the how to leave, how to manage contact if you can't leave entirely, and how to repair the neurological damage left behind.
So if you've ever felt like you're losing your mind in a relationship, whether it's romantic, a parent, a friend, or a boss, this deep dive is for you. Let's start with the trap itself. Why is it that when we're in these situations, we don't just leave? I mean, why do we stay when it hurts so much?
To understand that, we have to look at the cycle of toxic attachment. It's rarely abusive 100% of the time.
That's a really good point.
If it were, you'd leave immediately. I mean, if you went on a first date and someone screamed at you, you wouldn't book a second date.
No, you'd run.
You'd run. It operates in a cycle, often called the narcissistic abuse cycle, and it creates this incredibly powerful psychological hook.
Right, and it usually starts with what's known as idealization or love bombing. And this isn't just buying flowers, is it?
No, it's much more intense than that. This is phase one. It's intense praise, rapid intimacy, premature disclosure of secrets. It feels like you've met your soulmate or the perfect mentor.
Like it's too good to be true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They mirror your hopes and dreams back to you. If you say you love hiking, suddenly they are an avid hiker. If you value loyalty, they tell you these incredible stories about how loyal they are.
It creates this unbelievable high. You feel seen for the first time in your life, maybe.
That's it. This phase creates a honeymoon baseline. Your brain registers this as the true reality of the relationship. You lock in on this version of them as the real person.
So you think, okay, this is who they really are, this amazing, attentive, perfect person.
Correct. And so when the next phase hits, which is phase two, devaluation, you assume it's the anomaly.
That this is just a bad day.
Right. Devaluation is the systematic erosion of your self-esteem.
Yeah.
It's criticism, it's put-downs, emotional neglect. But because of that first phase, you spend all your energy trying to get back to the honeymoon.
You're trying to fix it.
You think if you just fix yourself or say the right thing, the good version of them will return.
It's the carrot on the stick. You're constantly chasing a ghost.
Precisely. And then eventually you hit phase three, the discard. This is often a sudden withdrawal or rejection.
It comes out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
It's
It leaves you in a state of cognitive dissonance. I mean, how could the person who loved me so much, who saw me so deeply, treat me this way?
Your brain can't process it.
And just when you start to pull away or accept it, we hit phase four, hoovering.
Like the vacuum cleaner.
Exactly.
Sucking you back in.
They sense you pulling away. So they drop these little crumbs of affection. Apologies, feigned helplessness, promises of change. I can't live without you.
And the cycle resets.
The cycle resets.
Yeah.
And this is why we stay. It's not because we are weak. It's because of a biological mechanism called intermittent reinforcement.
Okay, let's unpack that term, intermittent reinforcement. This is the chemical hook, right? The addiction part.
It is. I mean, think of a slot machine in a casino.
Okay,
If you pulled the lever and never won, you'd walk away pretty quickly.
for sure.
If you pulled the lever and won every single time, you'd actually get bored eventually.
Right, it would lose its thrill.
But if you win sometimes and you never, ever know when that reward is coming, that is the most addictive pattern known to psychology.
So in a toxic relationship, the win is that moment of kindness or just A break from the abuse?
Yes. The unpredictability causes your brain to release dopamine in these massive spikes when you finally get that crumb of affection. You aren't addicted to the abuse, you're addicted to the relief from the abuse. This forms what we call a trauma bond. It's a physiological dependency that is actually harder to break than a bond in a consistent, healthy relationship.
That is mind-blowing. It really reframes the whole "why didn't you just leave" question.
It does.
It's like asking someone why they didn't just walk away from a gambling addiction or a substance issue. It's a chemical thing.
It's exactly like that. The withdrawal is physical, and while your brain is chemically hooked, they're using these very specific weapons to keep you confused. And the biggest one, by far, is gaslighting.
We hear this word everywhere now, but I feel like we need to define it properly. It's not just lying, is it?
No, not at all. Lying is just deception. Gaslighting is a full-on assault on your epistemic trust, which is a fancy way of saying your ability to trust your own perception of reality.
It's psychological warfare.
It is. It's designed to make you surrender your reality to them.
So what are the specific ways this shows up? Because I think sometimes we miss the subtle ones.
Well, there are distinct categories. You have countering, where they question your memory, even when you have facts. You say, you said you'd be home at 6. And they say, I never said that. You're remembering it wrong again. You always do this.
Ugh.
Then there's trivializing, which is belittling your feelings. You're too sensitive, or you can't take a joke.
Oh, the "you're too sensitive" line. That's a classic. It shifts the blame from their action to your reaction.
Exactly. It's a way to completely invalidate your emotional reality.
Right.
Then there's withholding, where they pretend not to understand you or just refuse to listen. It just shuts down all communication.
The stonewall.
The stonewall.
Yeah.
And then stereotyping, using gender or age to dismiss you, like the whole crazy ex-girlfriend trope, or saying you're just being hormonal.
And the result of all of this isn't just that you're annoyed or frustrated. It creates something called self-gaslighting, doesn't it?
That is the ultimate effect. That's the end goal, really. You start doing their work for them before they even speak. You suppress your own intuition. You think, I shouldn't bring this up, I'm probably overreacting, or maybe they're right, maybe I am too sensitive. You become your own censor. You stop trusting your gut entirely.
It's like your internal compass is just completely demagnetized. You don't know which way is north anymore.
Exactly. And once you are in that state of confusion, you are, your prime real estate for manipulation.
Let's talk about those other mechanics of manipulation, because it's not just gaslighting. There's also this incredible phenomenon called projection.
Oh, projection is fascinating, and it's maddening. It's when the toxic person accuses you of the exact behavior that they are guilty of.
The exact behavior.
The exact behavior. If they are cheating, they will obsessively accuse you of cheating. If they are selfish, they'll call you a narcissist.
Why? Why do they do that? Is it just a distraction tactic?
It's a defense mechanism for them.
Yeah.
But it functions as a weapon against you.
Yeah.
It keeps you on the defensive. If you are busy defending yourself against false accusations of being selfish, you aren't looking closely at their selfishness.
You're distracted.
You are. It creates this fog of confusion where you are fighting these phantom battles while they continue their behavior completely unchecked.
And it seems like they target specific types of people. We often hear about empaths or givers getting stuck in these relationships. Is that just a cliche, or is there some truth to that?
There is absolute truth to it. Toxic individuals, particularly those with narcissistic traits, they weaponize a victim's desire to be good or understanding. They look for what you could call approval dependency, that deep-seated fear that if someone dislikes you, it means you did something wrong.
That hits home. The idea that if I'm misunderstood, I just have to explain myself until I'm understood.
And that is the trap. You over-explain, you justify, you try to prove your goodness. A toxic person senses that fear of conflict or rejection, and they use it to ensure compliance. They know you will sacrifice your own needs to keep the peace.
And meanwhile, they speak with this, what do you call it, pathological certainty?
Yes. They speak in absolutes. Always, never. Everyone agrees with me. They rewrite the narrative of your entire relationship so convincingly that your own memory gets hacked.
Wow.
And to bolster this, they often isolate you from your support systems. They use what are called flying monkeys.
Flying monkeys, like in The Wizard of Oz.
Exactly like in The Wizard of Oz. These are people, sometimes friends, sometimes family, who the abuser manipulates into doing their bidding.
So they're not necessarily bad people.
Not at all. They're often well-intentioned, but they're being used. They carry messages, they spy, or they pressure you to make peace. The abuser uses them to triangulate you and make you feel like you are the one who is isolated and crazy. Even your mother thinks you're being unreasonable.
It's so methodical. It's not just accidental friction, it's a system.
It is a system.
So let's pivot. We know the trap, we know the mechanics. How do we get out? What is the tactical guide for disengagement?
The gold standard, the most effective strategy, clinically speaking, is no contact.
No contact. It sounds simple, but let's define what that actually means. It's not just, we broke up.
No, it's not. No contact is complete cessation. No texts, no calls, no social media stalking, no asking friends about them. It is breaking the glass in case of emergency.
It's a wall.
It's a wall. It's not a negotiation tactic. It's a final boundary for your own survival.
And we have to acknowledge this is incredibly hard. Earlier, we talked about the chemical hook. When you go no contact, you are going into withdrawal.
You absolutely are. You have to expect that initially, no contact will feel worse than staying.
Really?
Worse.
Worse.
For a time, yes. Your brain is screaming for that dopamine hit, for that relief. You might feel physical pain, panic attacks, obsessive thoughts. It's crucial to recognize these as withdrawal symptoms, not as evidence that you made a mistake or that you belong with them.
There's a distinction here I think is important. How is no contact different from the silent treatment? Because isn't the silent treatment also a form of abuse?
That's a critical question. The action looks the same, silence, but the intent is the complete opposite.
Okay.
The silent treatment is manipulative. Its goal is to punish, to control, and to provoke a reaction from you. It ends when the victim capitulates.
Right, when you give in.
When you give in. No contact is self-protective. Its goal is healing and safety. It's not about them at all. It's about you regaining your autonomy and your sanity.
What if you feel like you owe them an explanation? I think a lot of people feel that. Should you write a letter?
If you absolutely must, maybe for your own sense of closure or for legal reasons, it needs to be what we call a no-contact letter. But it has to be brief, unemotional, and final.
So no long explanations.
Do not explain, do not justify, do not accuse. Why? Because any emotion or explanation is just fuel for them. It gives them something to argue with, to twist.
So something like, I am taking space for my health. Do not contact me. I will not respond.
Even simpler. This relationship is over. Please do not contact me. Period. No, because you hurt me. No, I'm sad about this. Just the boundary.
That's powerful. Now, for some people, leaving is dangerous. We aren't just talking about emotional hurt. We're talking about physical safety. If you are in a high conflict or physically volatile situation, how do you plan a departure?
You need a safety plan. And you need to know that the period immediately following a breakup is statistically the most dangerous time.
That's terrifying.
It is. So you need an escape bag stored outside the home, maybe at a friend's house or in a locker at work.
What goes in it?
Copies of identity documents, birth certificates, social security cards, cash, spare keys, any essential medication, things you can't leave without.
And digital safety is huge now too, right?
It's massive. You need to assume you are being tracked. Check your car for GPS devices, change all your passwords on a public computer that the abuser has never accessed, and you need to do what's called a lethality assessment.
What's that?
You have to be brutally honest with yourself about the risk factors. A history of strangulation, for example, increases the risk of homicide by 7 times.
7 times?
7 times. If they have threatened murder-suicide, you have to take it seriously. Every single time.
That is an incredibly sobering statistic. Okay, so you've left. You've gone no contact. But they don't just let you go quietly, do they? We mentioned retaliation.
Expect the smear campaign. Narcissists operate on image, on their reputation. If you leave, it causes what's called a narcissistic injury. They lose control.
So they have to regain it.
To regain control of the narrative, they will paint you as the villain, the unstable one, the abuser. They will go to all your mutual friends, your family, and tell their version of the story first.
And the instinct is to jump in and defend yourself, to show everyone the texts, to scream the truth from the rooftops.
And that is the trap. If you react with anger, they just point to it and say, see, I told you she was crazy.
So what's the strategy?
The strategy here is incredibly difficult, but necessary. Do not take the bait. You live your truth authentically. Over time, the discrepancy between their lies and your actual behavior will become apparent to the people who matter.
And the flying monkeys.
Block them. You cannot afford to have people carrying messages back and forth. It just keeps you tethered to the abuse.
Okay, but what about the people who can't go full name? no contact. Maybe you have kids together or you work together, you have to interact. How do you do that without getting sucked back into the cycle?
This is where we use what we call strategic disengagement. The most famous method for this is the gray rock method.
Gray rock. I love this visual. You become as interesting as a gray rock.
That's exactly it. It's a method rooted in behavioral extinction. You become boring. You use a monotone voice, minimal eye contact, factual one-word answers.
Yep.
I see.
Okay, so you're not giving them anything.
You stop providing supply, which is your emotional reaction. If they can't get a rise out of you, good or bad, they eventually lose interest and go look for supply elsewhere.
But there's a downside to gray rock, right? I've heard it can backfire, especially in court.
Yes, that's a key point. If you're completely flat and unresponsive, you can appear cold, uncooperative, or even hostile. In family court, that can be used against you.
She's not co-parenting?
Precisely. Also, initially, it can cause what's called an extinction burst, where the abuse actually escalates because they are trying desperately to get that reaction back.
So what's the alternative if gray rock is too risky?
The upgrade is called the yellow rock method. Think of it as gray rock with a thin coat of paint.
Okay.
It's cool, polite, but firm. You think of yourself as an HR professional or a customer service rep dealing with a difficult client.
So instead of just silence or grunt, you add the social pleasantries back in.
Exactly. You include a hi name and a thanks. But the content remains strictly logistical and unemotional. It's sometimes called the BIF method. Brief, informative, friendly, and firm.
Give me an example. Let's say they send a long ranting email about how you're a terrible parent, and then mixed in there's one question about soccer practice.
Okay. A gray rock response might just be, soccer is at 5.
Right. Very blunt.
A yellow rock response would be, hi, Mark. Thanks for the email. Soccer practice is at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Best, Sarah.
So you completely ignore the insults, the bait.
Completely. We call that ignoring the word salad. If they send you a paragraph of abuse and one logistical question, you answer only the question. You just strip out all the emotional content. It makes you look reasonable to a judge, and it gives the abuser absolutely nothing to latch onto.
What about in the workplace? If it's your boss or a colleague?
Similar principles apply. Avoid face-to-face meetings where there are no witnesses. Rely on email to create paper trails. And be very aware of whistleblower gaslighting.
What's that?
That's when you report misconduct and the whole thing gets turned around on you, making you seem like the problem for not being a team player.
Okay, so we've covered the escape and the management. Now I really want to talk about the deep work, the repair. Because even when they are gone, the damage is still there. You mentioned neurological restoration.
Yes. We have to acknowledge the physiological toll. Toxic relationships keep you in a state of chronic fight or flight. Your cortisol is spiked, your amygdala is hijacked, you might have brain fog, memory issues, symptoms of CPTSD.
So you can't just think your way out of this.
You can't. You have to regulate your nervous system first. The body has to feel safe before the mind can heal.
What are some techniques for that?
Simple somatic practices are the best. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method is great for when you're in a flashback or a panic attack.
How does that work?
You just name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It forces your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, to come back online.
It pulls you out of the panic.
It pulls you back into the present moment. Breathing ratios are also key. Just make your exhale longer than your inhale. A Vimble 4 count in, 6 count out. That engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode.
And then there's the trust issue. I mean, reclaiming your intuition. After years of being gaslit, how do you even begin to learn to trust your gut again?
It requires active retraining. You have to treat it like building a muscle. One exercise I love is the victory journal. At the end of each day, you write down 3 things you did right. Small things. I made a good cup of coffee. I navigated that difficult conversation well. You are building a body of evidence that you are competent and that your perceptions are valid.
I saw another exercise about interviewing friends.
Yes, interviewing trustworthy friends. This is so powerful. You ask safe people, people who have a proven track record of respect and kindness. Who am I to you? What do you see as my strengths?
And that helps you recalibrate.
It helps you contrast their reality with the abuser's narrative. The abuser said you were selfish. Your 5 closest friends might all say you are the most generous person they know. You need that external data to rebuild your self-image.
And what about that internal critic, that voice in your head that sounds suspiciously like the abuser?
That's the introject. It's literally the abuser's voice living in your head. A great technique is to just notice it and name it. When it pops up, you can say, whoop, here I go, judging again.
I like that. Ooh.
It creates a little bit of space.
Yeah.
It's humorous. It's light. You identify the thought as a judgment, not as a fact. It helps you separate your voice from the abuser's programming.
That leads us to redefining values then, because when you're in survival mode, your only value is safety or pleasing others to stay safe.
Exactly. You lose yourself completely. Healing involves moving from that survival mode to values-based living. You have to ask yourself, what was important to me before this? You have to rediscover the hobbies and interests that were suppressed during the relationship.
Like, did you stop painting?
Did you stop painting? Did you stop seeing certain friends? Did you stop running? Go back to them. That is how you rebuild the self from the inside out.
One of the hardest parts of this journey, I think, is the concept of forgiveness and closure. We always hear you have to forgive to move on, but do you? What does that even mean here?
We need to completely redefine forgiveness in this context. It is not condoning the act. It's not saying what you did was okay. Forgiveness is for you. It's releasing the resentment that binds you to them. It's like you're hacking the energetic link so they no longer live rent-free in your head.
And closure. Do you ever get it?
That's the myth of closure. And this is a really hard pill to swallow. You will never get a satisfying explanation from a toxic person. They will never say, you're right, I'm sorry, I was abusive because of my own deep insecurity. It will not happen.
So you have to find it yourself.
You have to give yourself closure. You have to be the one to say, the relationship was unhealthy and I am choosing my future. That's it. That is the period at the end of the sentence.
That is so powerful. I am choosing my future. Speaking of the future, let's look ahead. How do we ensure we don't fall into this trap again? How do we spot the green flags?
We have to move from having these rigid rules, which are often fear-based, like I'll never date an artist again, to spotting healthy behaviors. We call this developing relational literacy.
I like that. So what are the key green flags we should be looking for?
Reciprocity is huge. Is the effort shared? Or are you doing all the emotional heavy lifting, all the planning, all the apologizing?
That's a big one.
Accountability is another. When they make a mistake, because everyone does, do they own it? Or do they blame shift? And, crucially, do they take action to fix it? An apology without changed behavior is just manipulation.
And boundaries. What does a healthy reaction to a boundary look like?
A healthy person respects boundaries. If you say no or I'm not ready for that, they don't push back. They don't pout or try to guilt you. They just say, okay, I understand. They accept it.
And finally, empathy.
Yes. Can they sit with your pain without making it about them? If you're having a bad day, can they just listen? Or do they immediately turn it into a story about their bad day?
That seems like the ultimate test. And I think the ultimate goal here in all of this work is what we could call emotional independence.
Yes. This is the shift that makes you basically immune to manipulation. It's showing to yourself and to the world that your happiness does not depend on them.
Or anyone, really.
Right. When you no longer chase approval, when you are content in your own company and with your own life, you become impossible to manipulate. Toxic people need. If you don't need them to validate you, they have no power over you.
That's the freedom right there.
It is. That's the ultimate freedom.
So let's summarize this deep dive. Healing from toxic relationships it's nonlinear. It's messy. It's not a straight line.
Not at all. It involves education, like what we're doing now, spotting the tactics so they're not invisible anymore. It involves safety setting those hard boundaries like no contact. And it involves that deep internal work, the neurological repair, and rebuilding self-trust.
But the main takeaway is that it's possible. It's not a life sentence.
Absolutely. The experience of leaving a toxic dynamic is incredibly painful, but it offers this unique, incredible opportunity. The chance to rebuild a version of yourself that is defined entirely by your values, not by someone else's control. You actually get to decide who you are.
And here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. We often feel like we have to justify our boundaries. We write the long emails, the paragraphs. We give all the reasons.
We over-explain.
We over-explain constantly. But the moment you stop over-explaining yourself is the moment you begin to reclaim your power.
A strong boundary doesn't need an essay, it just needs a sentence.
That doesn't work for me.
That doesn't work for me.
Simple. Powerful. Thank you for listening to this deep dive. Take care of yourselves.